It's checking in ABC News, and we're going to have a live. Actually, we're going to have a report later on from someone who just came back from Israel, John Hammer with Newsweek. Hey, let's start with the basics. Josh Hammer, I'm sorry. Good morning, New Hampshire. The Pulse of an H. Jack Heath. We're looking at a pretty well, it's a chilly start, I guess, but it's New England. It's winter. Here we go. A little chill, a little car starter this morning. We get going, but we have some clear skies out there as we get going Thursday. How about next Tuesday? First in the nation presidential primary voting day. How about this one? Near 40 for a high and cloudy, so no real weather uh, obstructions to vote, if you will. Although Democrats are trying to obstruct a little bit, it seems, with writing in Joe Biden. We'll come back to that. Hey, we're looking at a pretty nice looking Thursday. Busy, busy morning, and what a show yesterday. The mental health addiction town hall I hosted at the Capitol Center for the Arts Bank in New Hampshire stage. We had well over 150, maybe 200 people there. It was a wonderful event, a lot of awareness raised. How about this one from the DEA who was there, John Delano, one of the top officials? 112,000 people last year died from a drug overdose in America. 112,000. The number one cause of death in America for people under 40, a drug overdose, namely synthetic fentanyl, coming from two known cartels in Mexico, by the way, who manufacture it from ingredients that might have originated in China. They do it in Mexico. Why aren't they a terrorist organization? Who knows? But listen, we have primary politics to talk about. We got a packed show for you. Some of our regular contributors are going to be broadcasting live Tuesday and Tuesday evening from the West Wing, St. Anselm College Institute of Politics. As we get going, we have a newsmaker right out of the gate. We'll get to in 1 second. We're going to hear from some of our regular contributors this morning on where New Hampshire is going. Governor Sununu feels the voter turnout is going to be very high, pretty high, like more than maybe 350,000 total voters on Tuesday. He thinks 40% of the undeclared may go Republican. It's largely a Republican primary. It feels like Donald Trump has the edge. But can Nikki Haley gain ground? She's at an event right now in Hollis. It's pretty packed. And New Hampshire likes to send surprises. National media doesn't know this. New Hampshire does not like to be told what to do in polling, and we'll see where it goes. We come out of the gate, though. Joining us live, Good Morning Hampshire, the pulse of a nation, our network of news talk stations and nationally beyond, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Good morning, Governor. I hear you, Governor. Governor, let's talk about New Hampshire on Tuesday. We're not there yet. I don't. Polls are a snapshot. I've seen more national polls have been totally wrong when it comes to presidential elections than right. But let me go back to just Ron DeSantis. What have you learned? We're at that point now where we're in the home stretch in New Hampshire. What have you learned about the voters in New Hampshire compared to the caucus goers in Iowa, or you've even down to South Carolina, which is after New Hampshire? What do you make of New Hampshire voters and the reaction you've been getting? You certainly have a stellar record in Florida as governor of Florida, but I know the polls suggest that you're not tracking as well as Nikki Haley, or certainly not as much as Donald Trump. What have you learned about New Hampshire voters? Do you do you feel, Governor DeSantis, that part of your appeal or likely voter sort of went to a Trump vote here? And are you disappointed on these polls that you haven't resonated better in New Hampshire? Right, right, right. Yep. I know you had a town hall the other night in Henniker, I believe, on CNN. But right after Iowa, as the media said, big win for Trump. Big win for Trump in Iowa. DeSantis, a distant second, followed by Nikki Haley into New Hampshire. But you went to South Carolina the next morning, and then came here. Are you what? What's the path now? What's the DeSantis path, mid to long term? If you don't, if it is, as Nikki Haley and Chris Sununu say, a two-person race in New Hampshire, Trump and Nikki Haley, if you don't get, a strong showing in New Hampshire as much as you want, are you looking at South Carolina? And then how do you think that's going to go? And then is the plan to kind of through attrition, stay in this thing regardless of how you do in New Hampshire and South Carolina, look to Super Tuesday? Or do you have any thoughts on what's the path now for you if it's thinning or not? Right, right. Well, right, right. Finally, Governor Ron DeSantis live. Good morning, New Hampshire, on the Pulse of an H on this Thursday morning, days before New Hampshire votes in the first primary. I had asked you when you came into our studios here with Governor Chris Sununu when Sununu was hosting and sort of still shopping on possible endorsements, a question, and then you had events in the Seacoast. My question I'm still going to ask it today is: you came out of Florida, your last reelection victory, with a big, big victory. You had the really the only visible noticeable Republican coattails for a sitting governor in that last election where you were reelected in Florida. And then you got into the race at some point, but it took some time because you had a legislative session and Donald Trump went at you hard and heavy and attacked you. National media was coming at you. So maybe it's like a boxer before you get in the ring. You were getting hit before you got into the ring, but you got into the race. Any regrets on running now, knowing Trump was going to go again, and this is it for him, win or lose? Obviously, it looks like that you given his age in life. You're younger. Do you ever think now that I know hindsight's 2020 that you should have waited maybe to 4 years from now, or is this all premature? Do you feel good that you ran when you did? Right. Yep. Got it. Right. 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 And real quick, I'm going to let you go on this. Governor Ron DeSantis this Thursday morning. Thanks for the time. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an age. Uh, if you don't get what you want in New Hampshire or South Carolina, is your plan to stay in this thing regardless till Super Tuesday? Yep. All right. Thank you for the time, Governor DeSantis, on a Thursday. Thank you very much. We come back. Our own White House correspondent, John Decker. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an age. All right, a lot coming up. Busy, busy Thursday. A few days away from New Hampshire's primary vote. The weather Tuesday, by the way, on the voting day is going to be actually near 40 for a high, which has been pretty darn mild if you look at the cold temperatures hitting here and much of the nation. Cloudy, no reason not to vote. Question is how many people will. It could be more than 350,000. We'll get more on that. Donald Trump seems to have an edge, but will that hold? We'll have more coming up. John Decker, own White House correspondent. There's a lot going on in Washington, believe it or not. President Biden meeting with congressional leaders talking about a government shutdown or some kind of a deal. And that, as House Republicans or the House looks at impeachment stuff. Unbelievable noise going on. Good morning, John. Interesting. And what is the feeling in Washington? Because we're so close to the early process here. We got a vigorous kind of showdown going into Tuesday with a few of the Republicans left. I just had DeSantis on. But in New Hampshire, it's a write-in effort for Joe Biden. It really starts in South Carolina. He's sort of talking more, saying he's the only one who's beaten Trump in an election. He's still very much focused on running again. But all this noise in Washington is the feeling definitely still, John Decker, that Biden is the nominee among Democrats going into this, regardless if Trump is or not? Wow, unbelievable. Who would have thought if it's going to be Biden and Trump again? Here we go. Thank you, John. All right, time for our Auto Fair State Police segment. We have Sergeant Jordan Kopko back on talking about the recruitment effort and the training side of things in open positions in the New Hampshire State Police Department of Public Safety. Good morning, Sergeant. Thanks for being back. Good morning, New Hampshire, the pulse of an H. Well, where are we at? Last time you were on and your colleagues, we had a lot of openings, and the story is great candidates, but not enough. Or we have openings, and what are the open positions, and what's the appeal to people out there? Because a lot of people may not be aware there's so much opportunity within the Department of Safety. Yeah, and again, what the thing I think people don't think about is if you're a civilian, haven't served in the military, haven't been a police officer, there's still opportunity within the Department of Safety, correct? And again, the open positions though, you just had, when's the next window? And are you still? How many? Do you know? I'm not putting you on the spot, Sergeant. Roughly, last time I checked, it was more than 70 open positions full time. New Hampshire State Police 70. Is that still about the range, or? And then finally, are you still seeing a high caliber of these new you mentioned 7 new troopers, very high caliber folks, and I'm not saying you know all the class of 7 there, but what walks of life? Are they new to law enforcement? Civilian age, sort of the demos of what you're seeing. Mhm. Yeah. Now, when you say no age, limits on, being older versus 21 is the minimum, are you still referring to me, Sergeant? It's funny, I was on the road the other day with all the weather we've been having on the mush and the snow the other day. It was a little bit I'm wondering you I'm sure you had a lot of calls, but was it a couple days ago, we had they piled up in the middle of the day a little more than I thought on the highways, and I saw a couple state trooper cruisers, if you will, on 93 and 101. You could barely see, the state trooper, the insignia and the markings and the color just because it's covered with all the stuff from the roads, but, how did we fare the other day? Busy day for everyone? You do. And just informal inquiries, if someone wants to reach out and contact you or an email, what's the best way, Sergeant? Awesome. All right, Sergeant Jordan Kopka, thanks so much of the recruitment unit. Thank you, Sergeant, for what you do, and I appreciate it very, very much. All right, brought to you by AutoFair. Reminder at AutoFair Nissan and Stratum. AutoFair Nissan and Stratum. A primary reason to get in there if you're going to vote on Tuesday is save 500 bucks additional. That's right. Just say Jack, Jack, Jack. Any new or used vehicle, any new or used vehicle, Auto Fair, Nissan, and Stratum, right off exit 11. Just go in and say whatever deal they're going to get new or used. Doesn't have to be a Nissan, doesn't have to be new, could be used, bought, leased. 500 bucks additional. That's real money. 500 bucks. Nothing's free for life. 500 bucks. Check it out. Also, tomorrow we're going to hear from our friends at Goodhue Boat Company. Reminder, their boat club, they are signing up memberships fast, even though we're chilly here and we're looking at, still in the January days of winter. The waterways will be open pretty soon, and they have a great boat club membership at Goodhue. It really is. You can use their boats across New Hampshire's wonderful waterways. We'll be doing my show live from the marinas at Goodhue on Fridays as we do our marina tour come summer, whether it's Meredith or Ossipee or Sunapee or you name it. They're in Maine, they're in Virginia. You can get out, use boats down to Florida, Goodhue, wonderful boat, and leave the boat at the dock. You don't have to haul it and pay for all the upkeep and the overhead. Just use it for the day if you're a member of goodhueboat.com. Goodhue, Goodhue, boat.com. Boat Club. Check it out. You'll see their promotions going on right now this winter. Goodhueboat.com. Boat Club. All right, back on the Pulse of NH. Reminder, Tenny Mountain, the official ski area of Good Morning New Hampshire, the Pulse of NH. And they're cranking it up because it's chilly and prime skiing and riding and boarding days, and the weather's looking pretty good at Tenny Mountain, the official skier of Good Morning New Hampshire, the Pulse of an H, conveniently located in the heart of New Hampshire in Plymouth, right near Plymouth State University. Back on the Pulse of an H on this Thursday morning, we're going to hear from Josh McKelvin on say his thoughts on the primary, former political director, WMUR TV. Back in a moment. Thanks, dog. You know what's laugh? I don't know if Josh is on yet. Okay, I had to chuckle. You never do that. You had to catch yourself on what's the date today? January 18th. Here we go. Can you? It's a good segue because our next guest, we're talking politics with Josh McKelvin, McKelvin Strategies, former political director, WMUR TV. But Josh, I have to say, because I was going to thank folks briefly before I went into your interview, but you were a part of it because you helped on behalf. You do so much with Granite Recovery Centers, our presenting sponsor. I want to thank everyone. I've seen some great social media from our community mental health partners who were there yesterday, the DEA, the parents that spoke, mental health and addiction. I'm just Josh, I'm always it takes me like a day to recover just because the information and the expertise and the heartfelt stories and Chris, and his family losing their son Zach, who had never experimented, no known history, wasn't going down the wrong path, football, athlete, Eagle Scout, um, wonderful young kid, driven, motivated, upbeat. Everyone loved him. As his father said, he was the kind of kid anyone would have adopted gladly and happily. He and a buddy made a mistake. They went online. They wanted to buy a Percocet. Thought it would be okay. Thought it'd be cool. They didn't know they were buying from a known local drug dealer on Snapchat or whatever it's called, and it was laced with fentanyl. And his father found him unresponsive and dead in his bedroom. And I mean, could happen to anyone. And the numbers: 112,000 people last year died from a drug overdose. Number one cause of death of young people in America, drug overdose. And what do? We have all this presidential noise going on, and who today on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox? Who's talking about mental health and drug and addiction, Josh? No one. Anyway, I want to thank you because Eric Eckberg, he was like a steady, he was like Joe Flacco there coming back with the Cleveland Browns. He was just a steady veteran quarterback yesterday on the show with me. We had so many wonderful people, and you were a big part of helping me get it all together. So thanks, Josh. All right, Josh, let's put on your political analyst hat. Uh, Okay, this is. I'm going to let you. I'm still. I got to be honest with Josh because it was alive in the auditorium yesterday. I should have brought the honey, in with whatever cough drop because I'm still trying to get my voice back. So I'm going to let you run with this. But this is my setup because I was asked by one of the networks to do their Sunday show and talk about what's going to. So this is what I'm feeling. I want to set the stage and see what McKelvin thinks. And I'm not sure I agree with my very good friend where we're going to be broadcasting live, and I hope you're around Tuesday at the West Wing St. Anselm College Institute of Politics. I'm not sure I agree with my buddy Neil Levesque completely on his latest poll that has Trump at about 12 or 14. Here's the wild card. J Dog and I were talking earlier about wild cards, Josh. I think voter turnout's going to be a little higher than the models are suggesting because I'm looking at the weather Tuesday, near 40 for a high, cloudy. No big storms. It's not going to be 20 below zero. Okay. Who's going to vote? You and I know that's what happens in New Hampshire. Who's going to vote? So if 350,000 people vote, which is a number I'm getting from some state officials, just on estimates because they're not sure. Say it's 360, 350,000, mostly Republicans because it's a Republican primary. And Governor Sununu has repeatedly said of the undeclared voters, because they could be anyone, he thinks about 40% Republican. But if that's a big independent vote that's turning out, and there's no real Democrat race here, and the write in for Joe Biden isn't very energetic, who are they voting for? And yes, Donald Trump, my gut, Josh, and I'm almost done. My gut is Trump has an edge. Probably feels like a near 10-point edge over Nikki Haley. You already heard Ron DeSantis almost writing off New Hampshire. So it's Haley, Trump. Um, Here's the wild card, Josh, that I feel. These Trump events, like last night, the Sheraton Hotel in Portsmouth, Atkinson, Trump's having a lot of events, right? But they're not as big as 2016 when there were 10, 12,000 people there. Now, yes, he was newer to the scene then. It's 2024. But a lot of these people that go to the Trump events, they're absolutely committed. They're fired up. There's no problem with his base. Trump has that base. But a lot of people that go to the events at the Sheraton in Portsmouth, I'm pointing out, they're from Maine, they're from New Jersey, they're from Connecticut, they travel. It's like a popular band. I'm not being funny. They travel just to go hear Trump play. So I'm not saying the majority are not Republican voters in New Hampshire, but I'm just saying Trump's got his base. It's rock solid. It is as rock solid here as it's ever been. So are there new people that are going to vote Tuesday? Is it enough for Nikki Haley to make it a very interesting night, like single digits or a horse race? And New Hampshire does not like to vote with the headline already written that Trump wins New Hampshire by double digits. New Hampshire voters don't like that. But on this one, Josh, I don't know. I'm asking you. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, you and I remember the past. That's why I think. Right. Right. And you and I know, Josh, if the headline and feeling going into Tuesday is Trump wins by 10 or 11 points, I think the likelihood that New Hampshire wants to rock that apple cart is greater than not. In other words, I wouldn't bet on it. And I mean, I'm not a better. I guess a safe bet is Trump wins New Hampshire, goes on, wins South Carolina, and gets the nomination. That's a safe bet. But I got to tell you, New Hampshire, I've seen it time and time again. George W. Bush, sitting governor of Texas, sitting in the now it's the DoubleTree Hotel in Manchester, expecting a big win. He's sitting there and he gets clocked by John McCain. I mean, I could go back and back. And I got to tell you, I just think this one just feels a little unpredictable. And yet everyone thinks it's predictable. And when days ahead, it's Trump, 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 he's going to win. I just feel that New Hampshire has always surprised me and it may surprise the nation. I'm not sure. All right. All right. Josh McKelvin will catch you tomorrow. Some analysis. Thank you very much. McKelvin Strategies. Thank you, Josh. And thank Eric and everyone. All right. Hey, Alexa. Hey, Google. Play the Pulse of NH. You realize thousands. I'm telling you, the streaming numbers, they're real. They're very real. We are getting thousands of listeners across the country, Manchester, Boston, and across the country. And uh, every Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. And it's amazing. And many in Europe. And that's the thing about streaming. You can listen on, anything. And it's amazing from desktops, smart devices, handheld, and it's pretty cool. So the Pulse of an Age, and we have some new exciting news there coming real soon. I don't want to spoil the surprise, so more coming. And on the digital streaming side, streaming leader for News Talk, and that's pretty cool. Good morning, New Hampshire. The Pulse of an Age. Jack Heath, back in a moment. Great partnership for all the year with 6 Hour, big employer, great, big, employer manufacturer here in New Hampshire. Of course, Bank of America, another great sponsor, and Auto Fair. You just heard the Sergeant Kopko talking about careers and, brought to you by Auto Fair. We talk a lot about their, brands, and Jason LaCroix, who runs Auto Fair, joining us with some primary deals as people look to vote in the primary. There's primary opportunity, and of course, I'm a big fan of the Honda Ridgeline Auto Fair Honda, Manchester, but they have several locations. Jason, good Thursday morning. Good. I wanted to get a quick update on great time to get in, and I'll tell you with that slipping and sliding the other day, you want to get new tires and you want a good vehicle with either all wheel or four wheel drive. But the state police in the auto fair segment, I heard your voice earlier on the promo. They are looking for new recruits, Jason, and they say you have to be 21, but you don't. There's no age limit at the top, and you're a pretty fit physical person. Have you ever thought about maybe auxiliary state trooper? You have the look. You have the look. No, you have the look. You have the look and no, you have the demeanor and the look. I could see you coming up to someone say, "Why are you driving so fast?" Well, you do it very, very well. Great team. What? Give me some primary deals with a primary around the corner to get in there. Yeah, it really, I'll tell you, there's a lot of inventory, and I'll tell you, I don't know what it is, but some of the new vehicles, like the Hondas, you look at some of the, you know, uh, not just what I call them the mid-range kind of sport utility vehicle, or I'm biased. I like pickup trucks, but you look at some of the new vehicles, they are beautiful. Yeah, and you're still hungry for used stuff, right? And again, I'm looking at some of the vehicles that like for example Honda, but it's not just Honda. Run us through your locations. Well, I think Deb Roy, one of your great business and sales folks. I think she's kind of mad at me because she really, when we did that great 15th anniversary at Auto Fair Honda with the state police in the state of New Hampshire, our weekly segment, and you were there, of course. There was that beautiful, I don't know the color blue, but it was a beautiful blue Honda Ridgeline in the showroom. And she's really mad that I didn't follow up and buy it. She was, or lease it. She really was, she's not happy with me. All right, get in there. What is right at the top end? What do you have like one particular model that is just 6 out of 10 people are getting? Well, we have a lot of listeners. I just got some messages about is he really looking to become an auxiliary state trooper? I guess we should say no, but you're open to the thought. You're not ruling it out. Jason, thanks. I'll get back to work. Jason LaCroix, Auto Fair Honda, but not just there. Of course, they have the Hyundai, the Ford. They even have a Volkswagen, right? All right. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. And of course, remember Auto Fair, Nissan, and Stratum, $500 additional. Just say Jack, Jack. Coming up, Mike Dennehy and our primary night sponsor, presenting sponsor, Dennehy Belay Group, West Wing, St. Anselm College, Institute of Politics, Manchester will be doing the show Tuesday morning, primary day, and that evening. with the best team of political analysts and all-stars about 7 o'clock till the results are known Tuesday night. Probably about 350,000 people voted next Tuesday, it looks like. Hey, Google, hey, Alexa, play the Pulse of an Age.